Linux boot process. So this lesson we will learn how the system boots up. So I'm sure you probably wondered that when you press the power button on your laptop or your computer, then you after a few minutes or few seconds your computer come up, you get a login prompt and your system started. But have you ever wondered what exactly happens under the hood? Meaning you start up your car and it ignites the spark and start up your car, right? But what happened exactly behind the scene? So I wanted to cover that because it's one of the very important lessons, and some of the things in this lesson are important in terms of interview. A lot of people ask you questions about what happened or tell us the sequence of boot process. In this picture, you will see exactly the 6 steps that a system takes place in order to bring your system to a level where you will be able to log in. The first one is every time you press the power button on your computer, it goes to BIOS. What BIOS stands for is basic input and output of a system. At this stage, it performs some system integrity checks, loads and execute bootloader program. It looks for bootloader like a floppy disk or CD-ROM or your hard drive. It tries to find out how to boot. Where is it located? Where do I have to go to bring the system up? The next thing that it does, it goes to MBR. Now MBR stands for Master Boot Record. It is located in the first sector of the bootable disk, typically like dev, HDA, or SDA in Linux. So this is the first sector on your disk when it is located to start the computer. MBR is somehow like 512 megabytes in just bytes in size. It's very small, and this it contains information about grub. The next step it does, it goes to grub. Grub stands for Grand Unified Boot Loader. If you have multiple kernel images installed on your system, you can choose which one to be executed. So there could be older version of kernel, newer version of your kernel. You could start it in any of the kernel, and that option is given to you by grub. And the grub configuration files are located in /boot/grub, and the file is grub.com. You can modify it if you want to change the order of your system startup. The next one after the grub comes the kernel. The kernel is the one that mounts the root file system as specified in the root equal in grub.com file. That's exactly in the grub.com file is it actually execute the init program. Kernel execute the /sbin/init program. Then it starts the initial RAM disk. And initial RAM disk, which is INITRD, is used by kernel as a temporary root file system until kernel is booted and the real root file system is mounted. It also contains necessary drives compiled inside, which helps it to access the hard drive partition and other hardware. The next one goes through the boot process is init. It looks like the /etc init tab. This is the file to decide the Linux run level. So if you wanted to boot your system in a different run levels, let's say there are 6 run levels, actually 7 run levels. There's 0 for halt, 1 for single user mode, 2 for multi-user, 3 for full multi-user mode, and 5 is unused. If 4 is unused. 5 is to boot the system in X11, and 6 is to reboot. These are the run levels that are defined inside of the init/init tab file. Once it does that, then the run level program begins to start, and every run level program has its own directory, and that directory is etc rc.d, rc and the digit, which is run level digit, and .d. Every file, every boot order is in these files. So here are the run levels. We could go over a few of them in our Linux environment. So let me log into my Linux machine, clear the screen. I want to become root because some of these files can only be accessed through root. So the first one is BIOS, which is located on the disk. The second one is MBR, and let's go to the kernel, which is sbin init. So we'll go sbin init. Then you have other run programs. We could go to the other run programs like etc rc.d, and here you see all the run levels. If you want to start your computer in run level 5, so let's see which run level we are in. Who minus r, we are in run level 5, so we'll go into rc5.d, and here it's telling it to start the console, which is the GUI, and start the network, which is the network. So this is what exactly run level 5 is, and that's how your computer is started. You get the login prompt, and there are also many different documentation online you can find out about how the system boots up. And of course, I will encourage you to go look them up and understand exactly how Linux boot process works.